Welcome to a special episode of Between the Chromes. As you can see here, my chrome plants are in full bloom. They look pretty and they smell like, well, they don't smell like anything because Google Chrome doesn't smell. Yeah. Alright, I'm trying to be a little corny. Maybe you smiled, maybe you didn't, I don't know. But I have a very special episode, and that's because Heather Dowd is here on her fall visits. So I'm very excited to have her here on set, and we're going to talk to her very shortly. Now I'm going to give you a little heads up. I have tried to make these videos shorter. I'm trying to be a good YouTuber with short and concise videos, especially videos where I'm mostly interviewing people. There's no B-rolls or anything fancy like that. So I'm trying to get better at this. But sometimes when the conversation is really good, it is hard to edit these videos into something shorter. So what I have done is I've broken this video into two segments. So I hope you stick around for not only this segment, but the next segment as well. And I hope that you enjoy this video. If you do enjoy the video, make sure you give it a like, a thumbs up. And if you're watching, because I really don't know who's watching, leave a comment below because I really would like to know who is watching these videos. So without further ado, here is part one of my interview with Dynamic Learning Project mentor coach Heather Dowd. This is a really good book.
Yeah? Hi.
Hi. Who are you?
My name's Heather. Heather Dowd, in fact.
Heather Dowd. Where have I heard that name before? Why have I heard that name before? That's like really familiar.
I don't know. I may have signed that book.
Oh, right. Well, I'll be darned. Well, how are you? I have a celebrity in the house.
Why, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good.
It's an honor to be here on an episode of Between Two Chromes. I'm a big fan of the show.
I'm a big fan of yours. I'll have to get you to autograph this book again.
Jared.
We have a special guest in the house today. She is co-author of Classroom Management in the Digital Age, and she is a Dynamic Learning Project mentor coach and for South Carolina, Texas, North Carolina, and...
No, just South Carolina and
South
Texas.
Carolina. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And then, of course, all-around awesome person. She's just too awesome. I might be biased, but I think she's the best mentor coach in the DLP. So
you might be a little biased.
The rest of you are watching. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
I told y'all.
However, if you all show up, I might say the same thing about you, too.
Ooh, the challenge is set.
That's right.
Somebody might show up. It's very possible.
That's true. That is true. Well, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm enjoying myself in South Carolina. It's warmer here than in Illinois. It's fantastic to see you all. I'm having a good time.
We're excited to have you back.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of questions for you. Maybe our audience might already know this, but I'm kind of curious. But so I know you were a science teacher. So how did you go from science teacher to author? Great book. To DLP mentor coach. How did all that happen? It's pretty cool.
Well, I was a high school physics teacher, and I taught all levels of physics. I even had a class of no math physics, which was really fun. It was a great class, yeah.
No math physics.
Yeah.
I might have taken physics if it was for
Yeah, it was
for
great.
That.
It was great. In fact, I did a lot of the activities that I did with them, I did in AP because they were so great. But over, I guess, gosh, how did I become a mentor? Well, I moved into a coaching role, and that kind of happened naturally. I think as a science teacher, I was just really comfortable using technology. So I was one of the teachers that was trying new things and wasn't scared. And I asked the students to show me, everything I learned from them, basically. Mm-hmm. They were showing me things all the time. And my colleagues started asking me to teach them things. So then I started leading just kind of small groups like in my department and sharing how to use the software that we were using and what I was doing with my students. And I really enjoyed that. So I really enjoyed helping my colleagues. And I started, at my school, we had this is early on, we had I guess she was like a library media specialist, but we had a librarian, but we also had this library media specialist, and she helped us use technology, and I always thought her role was kind of cool. She wasn't coaching per se, but I started to look into programs, like what that was. And so I went back to school and got a master's degree in instructional technology and kind of moved into a coaching role, and then learned what it meant to be a coach. And my school went one-to-one while I was a coach, and that was a huge learning experience, which is where the book came from. It was everything that we learned. We realized there weren't any resources around classroom management, and that was the biggest challenge we had as a staff when going one-to-one. And so my colleague and I, Patrick Green, we decided, well, there's no book, we'll write one. And then as I was a coach, I started leading a lot of professional development, which got me involved with EdTech Team and doing conferences and things with them. And when they got involved with the Dynamic Learning Project, that's how I found out about it, was through EdTech Team. And now I'm here, and I have a super rewarding job getting to support all of you and coach the coaches.
Very cool. I couldn't imagine anybody better for it.
Aw, thanks. You're too kind.
But it's kind of, it's kind of funny. It's kind of similar how I started out too, where it was like I ended up, the school I was at had a laptop cart that was just broken down. I had 3 computers in my classroom that barely worked, so I ended up fixing everything and then starting to use it. And then all of a sudden they were like, what else can you do? Yeah. And the kids were actually like coming to class now. So
yeah, I think that's a big part of it, right? Like starting to use those things in ways that maybe other people weren't at the time. And students got really involved and engaged, and I think that's, for me, kind of was like, oh, something's happening here. Like, students are loving this, you know. And it was before we had the same thing. We had a few computers in the back. Yep. And so you had to use them strategically. Yeah.
I just remember being, singing Hallelujah when I got Google Earth to work. And so when teaching social studies, I was able to do geography with it. And I learned how to do the KML and the KMZ files.
Oh, that's super geeky.
It is, and it was just the coolest thing ever because the kids were able to just drop their locations and things like that. It was just...
That's awesome.
It was cool.
That's really cool.
Sometimes I miss that stuff.
Me too.
So last year was the first year of the Dynamic Learning Project. How successful do you think it was from your perspective? Because I can tell you it was, for us here at Carolina Springs, it was a huge success, in terms of, we didn't have a whole lot of teacher buy-in in the beginning, but as the year went on, we got more and more teachers, and I really do feel like the impact the impact technology was having on learning and teaching really was starting to increase there at the end. And then, of course, this year, we have more buy-in, more teachers willing to take risks, and for us, it was really good. But what have you seen on your side since you have more of that holistic view of it?
I would say that what you've described is also what happened in a lot of the other schools, the DLP schools. And if I had any doubts about that, they went away at the end of last year when we did the celebration. And every school, I can't remember, you all had so many minutes. You had 3 slides, I think, to talk about the impact. And I think that moment for me, like, being part of those for South Carolina and Texas, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is making a difference. Gives me the chills. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to know what the impact is going to be. But I think what you said at the beginning of your story is a real indicator of success. The fact that at the beginning, the buy-in was kind of and I felt that was true for others, not everyone, but for other schools last year as well. And then this year, what I'm hearing from all of those schools is they have more people sign up for the coaching cycles than they can handle. I mean, I think that's such a fantastic problem. But then ultimately, I think you have to look at what's happening in the classrooms. And when I talk to the principals and ask them what they see, I mean, they're telling me that they're seeing, more meaningful tech use, and not just more tech use, but deeper tech use, and that continues to be a goal. I think it will always be a goal that what we do with tech in the classroom, it's not just about having the device open, it's about using it at high levels for really meaningful activities, the higher on the SAMR. So into that transformative modification and redefinition. And I feel like that's starting to happen. So, and I think the data backs it up from the surveys and the research that the team did last year. Changes are being made, and teachers are trying things, and that's what it's all about, right? It's about providing a risk-taking environment where a teacher can try something with your support and feel safe doing that, because that's the only way we're going to make change, is to try new things. So yeah, I feel good about last year, and I, especially in Lexington 1, because I know that you all came from a coaching background, and when the school year started, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Like, would we even get buy-in from you? Right? Because of it.
And we were very skeptical, because we've been through the gamut of trying this, trying that. This really is the model. Yeah,
and that, I wasn't sure if that's how you were going to react when the school year first started last year. And then listening to you reflect on how it was going, and hearing those kinds of comments, and reading what you all shared with me each week in your reflections, and comparing it to the growth that teachers had before versus the growth that you see now. I mean, I think that's really powerful.
It is. It really is, when you think about it. Like, when you just sit back and just look, it's like, wow. And then I think my problem is too, as the coach, it's like, all right, I'm ready to keep people moving forward, and sometimes they're not ready to move forward as fast as you want them to. But every step forward is progress, and for some people, that's huge progress.
And baby steps add up to large steps.
Yes.
And as we always talk about, it's a personalized process, and you have to meet the teachers where they are. And and I feel like even when I get frustrated with not moving fast enough, when I look back, I'm sometimes in awe of how fast we did move.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see it at the time when you're in the middle of it and taking the baby steps, but then later you're like, oh my goodness, look where we came from and where we are.
And I think too, like the success story that we had today. So last year I had a teacher who believed she was very tech savvy, and if you look back at the old way we did things, it was tech savvy. Sure, her classes were using iPads. They were using a learning management system. They were, opening PDFs. They were annotating on them and sending them back. And so, in her mind, she was using technology. But then through coaching, she realized, she was using it, but it wasn't impactful. And then you kind of started, it was a snowball effect for this teacher in particular, because it grew and grew, and then she's trying Google's Applied Digital Skills and ELA, and the kids are just eating it up, and it's growing, and then at the end of last year, she approached the principal and said, I really want to teach computer science. I think this is my next step, and it worked out for her. And now, or before that, she was asked by EdTech Team to lead an Applied Digital Skills email course. I think that was what it's called, email course through them. And then today we announced her as Teacher of the Year. So I just think that was so well deserved. And Monica, if you're watching this, congratulations again. And I'm glad Heather was here for that as well.
Congratulations, Monica. I'm so excited I got to hug you for that.
And she's on the first episode, so if you're on YouTube, go back. She's on the first one. And so it's a 20-minute episode, but sometimes I can't get away from the 20 minutes as we're heading to that right now.